I'm going to show you how I would start day trading if I had to completely start over. For context, I've been trading full time now for 6 years. I made hundreds of thousands of dollars trading, and now I'm lucky enough that each time I sit down for a trading session, I can often make $2,000 to $3,000 in a single day. Okay, but I started day trading about 8 years ago once I left the military and I was just starting off in college. And where it sparked my interest is during my first attempt trading. I just out of luck made $8,000 in 2 days on my first trade. And even though this was ridiculous gambling, it was a real breakthrough moment for me to understand the opportunity that could exponentially open up my income and be able to live exactly how I want to live. So after this, I basically went all in studying trading with the same amount of intention that I would have put towards a 4-year degree. And I think what really helped me excel through learning trading was the fact that I approached it with the mindset of being a full-time student. But even so, to be honest, there's a ton of things that I didn't have to do. And if I just had a proper outline, I wouldn't have wasted nearly as much time and money before getting to this point. So that's basically the advice that I'm going to be giving you in this video. I'm just going to lay it out all on the table and basically show you a way clearer path to actually learn how to start trading as if I was starting with a complete blank canvas. So the first thing that I want to share with you guys that really helped me is making sure that you're focusing on the process rather than focusing on the money. Okay, in the beginning of this video and in the trading world in general, in order to get people's attention, you have to talk about money. But the paradox is, realistically, you shouldn't be focusing on money when you're first starting off your journey, because what I found is the money is the product of good habits and good processes. If you take care of actually learning trading properly, the money is just a byproduct of good habits. Okay, but if you're only focusing on money, you're going to be chasing that end result and end up building bad practices and probably never getting there. And I think this ties into in life in general. The more you chase money, the more it runs to you, but the more you build a ripe environment for it to flow into your life, you're going to attract more money. Same is true with everything, but definitely true with trading. But I wanted to share a little bit about what this can look like and the opportunities it can open up in your life if you're able to lock in on this video, make it to the end, and follow this process. The second biggest thing that I wish I did in the beginning was create a solid, concise learning plan. When I first got into trading, I was all over the internet trying to find different patterns, different strategies, different ways of going about trading. And I kind of wasted a lot of time in the beginning, not really understanding what trading was about, bouncing from one idea to the next idea to the next idea. And honestly, I think this is where a lot of people end up getting completely trapped and then just giving up. And if you're serious about trading and you actually make it to the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you where to find a complete Notion sheet where I lay down exactly what I would learn in order, sort of more the details of trading and where to find that. So make sure you stay for that. And also, if you're enjoying the video and you find value in it, make sure you subscribe and like the video. And if you create that list for yourself, it allows you to not skip over the important structural foundations of trading. And it's going to prevent you from building on a foundation that is not secure and it's not conducive to success long term. If you have holes in your learning and you're jumping around, you're never going to truly understand where to turn. And as you go further and further out into learning different things, it's going to be more and more likely that you're going to misstep if you don't have that core information. So make sure you build a learning schedule for yourself and follow it. You can check it off, you can go through it, take your time. You're going to be a much more well-rounded trader as a result. The third thing that you're going to want to do is be careful of your surroundings. There's a lot of noise, especially online now. There's a lot of good information, but there's also a lot of not so good information. There's a lot of flashiness. There's a lot of BS. That's the first thing that you have to sort of steer clear from. What you have to understand is trading is a difficult job. Okay, it's not some easy game that you play part-time to make some extra money, right? This is something that you really have to take seriously. So just be careful on who you're listening to. What I try to do in this channel is create more education focused. Maybe it's a little bit less interesting and boring, but if you actually watch the videos, I'm showing you all the stuff that's in my mind over the past 8 years. That's what I try to do in this industry, but make sure you're careful about that. The second big thing that was a big issue for me when I first started was I would tell people, like I told people that I started trading, and then there's this expectation, right? Where people are saying, oh, how's the trading going? Maybe you lose 2 or 3 weeks and you have to sit there and tell people, oh, it's going great. And like, well, how much money are you making? And you're like, yeah, I'm not really making any money. That is a terrible feeling. And the reason it's so confusing and bad is because normally when you're doing something, if you're losing money or you're wrong, we're wired as human beings since the time we were born to think that that's inherently bad and that it's behavior that has to be corrected. Whereas with trading, number one, losing money doesn't mean that you've done anything incorrectly necessarily. And so when people say, oh, well, how much money did you make today? And you'll say, oh, you know, I actually lost money today. And they'll say, well, what can you do better next time? Or what can you change? Or why did that happen? They gear it towards being a negative thing, which kind of shows you who actually truly understands trading and who doesn't. That's one of the big things, is be careful who you tell. What I would recommend to you guys if you're just starting, I wouldn't really tell anyone what you're doing and let the money speak for itself. They start seeing success. They start seeing you changing your lifestyle. Maybe you leave your job. It's always better better I find in life to just do things, don't talk about it, don't brag about it. There's actually a reward system process in your mind. And I've learned this through various different bad decisions in life. If you tell someone that you're going to do something, you get part of the dopamine release or the endorphin of actually doing the said task. So now not only are you basically jinxing yourself, but now you're already getting the reward of doing it by telling everyone when you haven't actually done it. So the probability of you achieving that said thing drops dramatically. So try to keep your mouth shut about it. Don't listen to outside influence. And the third thing is join a community of people who are like-minded, who understand the same things as you and are pursuing in the same direction as you. I have a whole Discord community. There's literally an entire free section for people to take all the information that I'm putting here on YouTube and on various different platforms so that people can use all of those things and be in a like-minded community with resources in proper structure. Being in that sort of area is going to help you because if you have questions or you want to learn from people who are currently doing what you're trying to do, your surrounding is going to be extremely important. You show me who you walk with, I show you who you are. Same thing is true in trading. So be careful of your surroundings and find communities who are aligned with your goals and are going to help you learn. The fourth thing, and probably one of the most important things, is starting off with foundational books, right? So there's a bunch of trading books that are really awesome. I've read tons of trading books, but I harp on this all the time. The number one best trading book, you can ask tons of traders about psychology, which is the core foundation of learning trading, is Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. It's all over the internet. You can get it for free. You can listen to the audiobook. I try to listen to it once a year. This will check you at the door. And I guarantee you, if you read this book without knowing anything about trading, even if you just give it to your friend and tell them to read it, this book, regardless of anything, will change your entire perspective about life and will just basically enlighten you. I would go out on a limb and say you really shouldn't learn anything until you've read Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. The second book that I would recommend is a really good book called Trading for a Living. It's going to outline some of the more realistic, sort of pragmatic viewpoints on actually starting to trade for a living. And that's going to open up your mind quite a lot. Although this book helps if you have some sort of trading background and experience, whereas Trading in the Zone should be amongst your first stop. Okay, the third book I would recommend is Fibonacci's Strategies and Applications for Traders, right? This is more of a, I guess, research document than a book. What I find really interesting about this is it shows you the human psychology in the formation of trends. And when we're trading, we're following trends, okay? And you can visually look at these and use different indicators to be able to find where those trends are likely to go and when they're likely to change. That is a very, very important book. Moreover, this is going to explain to you why you're actually trading, what trading is, rather than just going into it and saying, I want to make money. How do we start doing this? So reading those foundational books will help a lot. The number 5 thing that I would make sure I focus on along this process is understanding how and why to master your emotions and have discipline, right? A lot of people think that you need to have nerves of steel to start trading and that you need to be courageous to put on bets. Whereas realistically, trading is a game of mastering yourself. Everyone has the same information. Everyone is basically trading almost the same exact thing. The only difference is you. You're the one executing the trades. You're the one making emotional mistakes. You're the one following or not following your rules. You're the one journaling or not journaling. You're the one who's taking all these actions on a market that has infinite possibilities. So the sooner that you understand that trading is quite literally a mirror where you're looking at yourself and it's a game of mastering your own emotions, the sooner you'll cut out all sorts of the BS mistakes, know exactly what to focus on, and understand what the game is truly about. All right, now we're brighter. Had to fix the camera a little bit because it was getting dark. The 6th thing along this process of if I had to start trading is I would find one market and one instrument to focus in on. So for example, I trade cryptocurrency and stock futures as well. As of recently, I've been trading one single pair basically on one time frame in one single strategy. And that's how I've been able to build out my entire process here over the past several months and be able to scale this one process up to over $30,000. So for example, if I go over to my charting software on TradingView, you can see Solana, which is a cryptocurrency. I traded on a 1-minute time frame. So I've chosen my pair, I've chosen my time frame, and I have my daily process where I can mark out key levels and use different indicators. For example, this is a strategy called the TCL Max, where I find where I get breaks of lows based on testing. Then I'll use a custom indicator to be able to enter in at key levels, let the price reverse, and then be able to take profit on these moves, sort of profiting on the general direction of the market. And I can do this on a pretty repeated basis where sometimes I'm finding 2 to 3 trade opportunities for several $1,000s per trade I take, which allows me to be able to accumulate and scale accounts. But this is following basically one frequency, one strategy, and one process on one pair to really dial that in. Now, it doesn't mean that you can only trade one thing, but when you're first starting off, it's best to focus on one simple process. Really master that with all of the other components of trading. If you jump around different trading strategies, you're never going to get good at one thing and really get in tune with understanding how it works. And it's oftentimes very tempting to, when something stops working or you start to lose on a system, to just bail out on it and not try to revise it or not try to continue to trade it. Understand that there's going to be periods where you're not making money with something and making money with something. That's why you have to trade it and journal it and really get in tune with it over a certain amount of time to understand if this proof of concept works. So for example, we have a private trading team, and the education and strategies that the traders are learning. Some traders are trading one system. So we have Nico Music, 6 wins, 0 losses already, chipping away, working on that strategy. We have Project Mayhem dialing in $3,200 on one trade, which is amazing. $1,100 on another trade, trading once again a different strategy, but following all of the fundamentals that we teach. Mitch using different strategies, showing consistent results, which is good. Got another Craig on the team, shout out Craig. But really, to drive this point home, whatever you do start with, stick with that one thing and make it simple. The 7th thing that I would do, and this is sort of diving more into actually learning trading, is first, before anything else, learning basic market fundamentals. Things like supply and demand imbalances, where we can start to use critical technical analysis to understand key market shifts. If you want to learn a startup guide and details about stuff like this, I'll link one in a card right here and one at the end of the video as well. It will basically get you started in this realm of trading, because you don't want to dive into using all these complicated indicators right away without understanding the simple parts about what moves the market and how to actually navigate that. Once you have these solid fundamental understandings, you could basically just start on TradingView and start understanding these mechanics of the market. Then number 8 is going to be starting and developing your trading strategy. So how you're going to approach the market. So all these things are going to tie together. But for example, if we understand that these key levels are showing us an area where the price cannot break through, and then all of a sudden the price does break through, comes up and tests the opposite side. This is some overall analysis that we can do to start understanding where we would probably get a change in direction in the market. Or you can find areas where, for example, you get a break and then a retest, and you try to predict areas where you could potentially get reversals and essentially make profits off of anticipating reversals. Now, there's a ton of different ways to do things like this. That's basically what I've dedicated my entire life to figuring out, and why we have teams of researchers on the private side of our trading team coming up with different approaches to do this. And this is basically the core principle of how money is made in trading. But starting off very simple and working your way up to this is super critical, instead of diving in with too much at the beginning. Because in trading, all you're really trying to do is use some sort of analysis to predict areas of the chart where price is likely to move significantly in one direction. So in this situation, if we know based off of our rule set, this is more likely to happen before the price moves up. Had the price have moved up here, we can position ourselves in the market. Say we wanted to risk $500 on this trade. So if we're wrong, we lose specifically $500. We know that if we're right about this, we're expected to make $1,294 if the price comes here before here. And now it basically all comes down to your winning percentage and your average risk reward. So in that situation, right, we were risking $500 in hopes to make $1,294. So that would put our risk reward ratio at 2.59. So in a situation like that, if we had 2.59, it would fall right between 2 and 3, which would mean that even if we're only right 40% of the time, we're still going to be able to make money over time. So this is basically all we're trying to do in trading, is build some sort of model that complies with these two ratios that over a period of time is going to make you money instead of lose it. Okay, so you can start to understand why it's not necessarily a bad thing to lose money, so long as you're sticking with your process. Okay, the 9th component of this, once you have all the foundation, the basics of your strategy, and you're starting to notice these patterns, you can literally just go on TradingView and draw these out and see what would happen over time. By the way, all these tools at the end of the video, I'll show you how you can get them. So you can start doing these on your charts yourself. But the next step that I wish I followed in this order is keeping it super simple at first, but then adding afterwards what are called confluences. So confluences are basically finding sort of a simple strategy, right? So something like we found here where we get a trend break and then a retest. This is simple trading 101. But in order to improve and increase the amount of times that we're right about this, we can use other things. This is where you should start learning all of your additional resources. So you can literally just go through and start learning all of the indicators, moving averages. So I do use moving averages on one of my trading strategies. So this is where you start adding to an already relatively successful system, right? You don't want to add a bunch of indicators and strategies to try to make something that doesn't work. You want to find a model that does work and try to improve it by using something that I call reductive analysis, by basically adding a bunch of evidence, seeing which ones point to more winners, and being able to use extra things as as evidence towards you having a right idea. So I have a lot of videos explaining confluences and all sorts of intricacies. So at the end of the video, you can watch the next video. So a good example of this, I did it in a previous video. I show exactly how you can use all of this analysis to find specific reversal points. So using things like Fibonacci, smart money concepts, and market structure as added confluences. The 10th thing that I would do after all of this process, once I have all the foundational information, I have my charting, my simple strategy, and I'm starting to add confluences, this is where you should start heavily journaling and documenting this entire process. The more information that you can have to see based on all your winners, what's working and what's not working, the more you'll be able to go back in time and figure out what you should change and what you shouldn't change. So for example, if I go into one of my trade ideas, I have the time frame, the direction, risk amounts, different data on my trades, confidence levels, range percentages, whether it matches other analysis that I've done. And also each time I take a trade, most of the time I'm taking screenshots of my exact trades so that I can go over to this gallery view right here and I can see all of my wins and all of my losses. So I can start to learn from my behavior in the market and start to make improvements over time. If you want a little bit more of a realistic process doing this, when you're on your charting software, you can use this replay mode and basically just go down to this menu here and hit random bar. And this is going to bring you back to a completely random part in the market, in which case you can start trading this forward with all of the analysis that you would do based on your rule set. You can throw this over into your journal and you can have your complete proof of concept before you put any money into the market, right? That should be the last concern that people have. During this process, I also recommend building out an exact trade process for your each day. As you get into trading, you'll understand the more you can automate and regimen yourself, the less you have to spend your brain power trying to think of what to do next. And the more you can just follow a process, focus on taking the right trades, and let the money be a result of the healthy processes that you're following. The last thing is taking this all, putting this into an exchange environment where you're putting money into the market. Then you're learning the mechanics. Now you're seeing how real money is interacting with the market and if there's any differences in your process. And this is where you have to do execution and repetition in order to have this business model be able to make profits out of it. Okay, so as promised, these are all the resource links of the videos that I made that pertain to these specific things. But in order, this is what I wish I learned in order, basically boiled down. Now there's so much more to be learned about this, so much more repetition. That's what we do on the private side of our trading team. That's why we have analysts working on systems like this to be able to extract as much money out of the market as possible. Make sure that all of these ways we're approaching the market have the data behind it and that we're treating trading in this procedural way like a business. So if you want access to this, this is going to be in our Discord under announcements. When this video drops, I'm going to put the link under that. You can grab this in the Discord as well as check out all the other resources in the Discord in general. But this is how I would start from scratch if I had to do it again. Okay, if you found value in this video, hit the like button so we can share this with as many people as possible. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know when I put new videos out. Follow me on Instagram as well. And until next time, guys, I will see you all in the next video.